gossip. Hey, I
Please
forgot
dig it
now.
up, dig it
I've
up.
forgotten. I will tell you later. But
Tega, why are you dangling something in front of me and then you take it away?
I'm sure it to come up, but yeah, I was going to give you one hot gossip. Okay, but later. Maybe when we're talking, it will come back to mind. But how are you doing? Hope you're doing good. Please get ready to join us. Send in your messages. She's going to give you all the avenues.
Yes, indeed. The avenues are WhatsApp 0809 981, Twitter at smooth981. The hashtag is lockerroom981. And of course, you can give us a ring as well 014489 981. So, let's don't forget there's YouTube as well. Hello YouTube. So just go on YouTube, we're streaming the show live, smooth 981 on YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so what are we looking at today? PTPA, Novak Djokovic and Ons Jabeur to sit on controversial players committee. Okay. Formula One Andretti bid row reflects turbulent relationship among Formula One's power brokers. Rashford double helps Man United reach League Cup last fall. French Federation official calls for its president, Lagrite, to resign. Winning another league won't change my life, says Guardiola. Real are still feeling the impact of a mid-season World Cup, and that's according to Ancelotti. Wales boss wants Bale to stay involved in international setup, and Pogba returns to Juventus training after a knee operation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
All right. So we will tell you which story we are going to open the phone lines on if we are going to open the phone lines. But those messages should keep coming. But let's start from Novak Djokovic and Ernst Jabeur.
okay. So Novak Djokovic, women's world number two, Ons Jabeur, and six other players will form the first executive committee of the controversial Professional Tennis Players Association. Is this a real thing?
Yes.
Wow.
So if you they used to so the ATP and the WTA, they are the ones that run the the slams and all the a lot of all the other tournaments outside ITTF and the other tennis. Now they had the ATP Players Council, so that was the Players Association in charge of what the players' welfare was and what the players' needs were. Um, but last year, or no, before last year, I think it was 2 years ago, Novak Djokovic decided that that the Players Council needs to be very separate from the ATP Council. Now, the ATP Players Council, it was just players that was there, but he didn't like the fact that there was ATP's Players Council. He just wanted that the Players Council should have their own, and that they should be able to fight for their own welfare. They should be able to get more money from the slums, do certain things, or take stands when certain actions come down on players. Now, Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, uh, they weren't on the Players Council at this time. They'd been on the Players Council before they said, you know what, we are not interested. But they weren't on the Players Council at this time, and they're just like, why do you want to form a different Players Council? Why do you want to start a fight where there is no fight? Like, the association is working fine. So Rafa Nadal, Roger Federer, of course, was very opposed to it. Rafa Nadal was like, he didn't see the purpose, you know. And so that kind of, so some of the younger guys were the ones that were doing a Luther continue.
Of course.
But the other guys were just like, there's nothing wrong with what we have now. I mean, with the ATP Players Council, we still have a say, we still determine things. And so that, because Roger Federer had said, what's all the fight about? There were some players that even if they wanted to buy into what Novak Djokovic was trying to say, they're like, Federer doesn't like it. I don't like it.
So Federer is like revered.
So yeah, Federer is tennis. And then Federer retired now. So so Djokovic was determined to plan the council. So they had already set up himself and hospital. They had already said they're going to write whatever articles. At first they didn't have any women, it was just the guys that were doing it. So that there was some criticism for that.
Have to be inclusive.
Yeah, and then there was the Federer was like, why are we fighting when there's no fight? And then now Federer has retired. Novak Djokovic is busy with Rafa Nadal is busy with his baby and his injuries. Whichever one comes first, he doesn't send. And so they have decided that this Australian Open will be about the first time that the Players Council will come out in full force. Now he's saying that this Professional Players Council and the ATP Players Council can run concurrently, which is just like having too many student unions, if you ask me.
Or the numerous trade unions
but I understand what it is, and I feel so. Novak Djokovic he was on the ATP Players Council. He was the president, and then he resigned and went to form his own. Now I think what it is that they want to be able to fight many things, and it's not just that they wouldn't necessarily be able to do without with the ATP. So even things like COVID test and thank you. So
now we see
everybody always has their bias. Yes, there's money involved, but it's not just about money. So it's all those things. Okay, so for instance, when Wimbledon came out to say they're going to ban Belarusian and Russian players, it's the kind of thing that player council say, you know what, players don't, let's not participate. If we don't compete, then Wimbledon will have to turn. So they want to be able to have that kind of power, and he didn't feel like they had it with ATP Players Council. So it's not just, I mean, for some of the other guys, it's money. They're like, tournament is making more money. Why are we still earning the same price money? With some guys,
so everyone has their own motive.
Everyone always has their own motives. So I'm just looking at Novak Djokovic like, you spread COVID during your tournament, and you've come again with your COVID things. But it's one of those things. So they want to be able to have major says, and I understand it. NBA has players council and the players union, and they are very powerful. You know.
Why didn't they help Kyrie Irving though when he was going through his dark times?
Oh, they did come out to talk, but how do you defend somebody against anti-Semitism? Take your time. They came out to say, oh, that they think that the suspension is harsh and they're going to sit down together and talk about it. Then they're just like, pause. How do you understand?
Right. It was dicey.
Exactly, because it as much as they said it was, as much as they thought the penalties were harsh, it was hate speech. It came under, let me put it, because he came under hate speech because he just retweeted something. So he didn't say anything against, he just retweeted something. So that's why they thought the suspension was harsh. But because it was hate related,
right,
they're just like, this is a slippery slope, let's not touch it. But they're powerful like that. They're just like, we're not getting enough money, lockouts.
Wow.
No NBA, everybody just be begging, oh yeah, players, job. So they're powerful players council. So I know what Novak Djokovic wants to do in it, but everybody now kind of has their own small bias inside. So
Interesting. All right. So Formula One Andretti bid row reflects turbulent relationships among F1's power brokers. Now, there is a storm brewing in Formula One. On the face of it, this dispute has blown up over the potential entry of the US-based Andretti team with car company Cadillac.
Yeah, they want to. Unfortunately, we're going to have to mention a few names. So, when the Liberty Media bought over the commercial rights of F1, they had a lot of plans that are also getting more money into F1, making it a little more open to a lot of people, and then because it's kind of like a niche elite, and it has to be. I mean, think about it.
Yep.
If you have to spend 300 million on one car, how many people have that money? People are just like, let's just go to IndyCar racing, but so they just wanted to see how they'll expand, be able to expand this, and then especially to North America, where they like cars and there's some money and they're trying to expand. They're even going to race in Vegas. Oh, that'd be beautiful to go to. That one I must go. They'll be able to, I'm telling you, I will try. It's very expensive, but we'll try. But they want to expand races, try and get more races into it, and then get more cars to compete in it. So I think there was a Porsche and how is it called? Is it Porsche or Porsche? Whatever it is. They wanted to come into the the Red Bull was going to provide their engine, but that those talks kind of broke down. Audi has already stepped in. They are going to be working with Sauber a little bit this year, maybe expand maybe later. And then so Cadillac was going to come in. General Motors was the one that the Andretti family wanted to use to bring in this car. But there's a problem. People are not saying, oh, the F1 teams have a problem with it. Now, on the surface, they're just saying, we don't know if Andretti family is ready to run this. Now, he had raced in F1 before, so he's not foreign to F1. So it's not like his class is not enough. And the Andretti family, they have class. But they're just saying, oh, he's going to open his factory is going to be in the US. That'll be tricky, not in Europe, because that's where everything happens with most of the factories. They're complaining that does he know how the effort is going to take to run a team, and then if he doesn't run it well and then he crashes out, it will be more detrimental to the image of F1. And so there's all that drama. And then the new president, Ben Sulayem, just comes out to and there's drama brewing in the background. In the privacy of team meetings and FIA meetings and commercial rights holders meetings. Then the F1 president just came out to
he opened his mouth. Wow.
Just went to open his mouth. Wow. Anyhow, everything just came out. So no discretion. And this is what I've been saying since Ben Sulayem took over. Almost as if he came in to be president, and he thought he was ready for what was there, but the politicking is too much. And I'm just like, is the spirit of Lewis Hamilton's F1 title you put in give him that's going to affect all of you? It will destroy all of you. But there is a fight brewing. So teams are fighting amongst each other. Wow. There's always been that small fracture, or disagreement between teams. But the gully is just getting bigger. The rifts are getting, a little more tense. So it has affected the Andretti family now. They had said that he should just go and rethink his bid and come back in. But the way the president said is like, these people are kicking out against it and they don't want people to come. They're just like, dude, don't make it worse. You are the president. You're supposed to hold everything together. You can't now come and be taking sides, or you can't now come to be seen as taking sides. So I think he's fracturing under the pressure. I don't think he understood how political that seat could be.
I never knew it was this way. From the outside.
When there's money involved, it's political.
Okay, well, we've got some messages coming through. Tayo says Nigeria is open for investments. Let them add her to the list of places. Tayo, are you being serious?
The one that I drove past, the two portals I entered this morning, another road.
Oh, Educate says, good morning and happy new year to you ladies. Cadillac better just stick to making cars for music stars to bump to and ride. Ain't nobody got time for flexing on the speed tracks of F1, I beg.
What is wrong with you? Can't they expand? But yeah, they could bring it to Africa, but I think South Africa.
It won't be Nigeria.
No. They're looking at South Africa first. So if they bring it to South Africa, remember how they brought the World Cup and everybody just moved there.
Yeah.
That's how we'll be doing it.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue the conversation here. It's The Locker Room.
Moving music.
It's just the way the time flies. So
it really does.
When we come back now, okay, so we'll just come in 2 minutes for each.
All right.
I can't believe that this is election period. The campaigns are not a lot. The adverts are not enough.
They're not spending too much money this election.
I mean, they don't get.
Exactly. The country don't get. The people don't get. Everybody's holding on tight.
Because I'm just like, where are all the ads? I've heard this one. No, so it's fancy. I've heard these. I've heard some.
It's a reflection of the state. Everyone is holding on to their resources.
I've never really heard PDP.
Well, we're live.
I'm just saying, people should bring your money. Run adverts.
No sleep. Collect your money.
Bring out the money. Spend it. There's election. We don't know you are not voting.
This is a very thrifty election season. Nigerians are like, nah, please. I gotta save my money. You're listening to The Locker Room on Smooth 98.1. Just before the break, we're talking about the drama going on
in F1.
Yes.
All right. So let's go to the drama in football.
Okay. Rashford double helps Man United reach League Cup last fall. Now, Marcus Rashford was on target for the sixth consecutive match in all competitions as his late double helped Manchester United beat third-tier Charlton Athletic 3-0 to reach the League Cup semi-finals Tuesday.
First of all, I think that's unfair on Anthony because it was his goal that helped Manchester United. Rashford just made it comfortable. But that's not the issue. We have to talk about the flaming form of Rashford, in recent time. I think he went to the World Cup and came back and said, oh, see, my mates are winning World Cup. Let me come and win something. And it's fantastic. I think the more realistic chance of Manchester United winning a trophy very soon would be this League Cup, because I think the only tough teams that are left, the two tough teams that are left for them would be Manchester City and now Newcastle, because Newcastle is playing some crazy Saudi money, oil money football. But this is the most realistic chance that they have of winning it. Now, Newcastle defeated Leicester City yesterday by 2-0, so they are through to the semis. Manchester United also won their game yesterday by 3-0. And the result didn't tell the match, because for most of after Anthony scored they came back in the second half. It did look, Charlton Athletic really gave a good account of themselves. Then Marcus Rashford broke through and scored the second goal, and their hearts were broken. And then they scored the third goal, which looked a little offside to me. But again, that's what happened with Arsenal in the FA Cup. Looked a little offside, but hey, with these cup competitions, VAR is a bit not everybody can afford VAR, so you will not see it being used. But good one for Manchester United. Marcus Rashford is in flaming hot form. That doesn't mean that Manchester United should not buy centre forward, because you see, this Rashford can do like a Ikeja Electric. One day you have 21 hours power supply, the next 2 days nothing.
Oh wow!
Not even a flash.
We've got a message, and this says, Tega, please, Anthony should stop scoring heart attack goals, but I still think with this form, Man City will still flog them. And that's from Pius. Another message, good morning. The best deal for Man United is getting Eric Ten Hag. I want to see Pellistri make his first appearance after 27 months. I will be happy if we can beat City or draw them this weekend. Gigi Buffon at 44 is still going strong. Baba turned 45 turns 45 in the coming years.
He played Parma. So he was in goal for Parma yesterday against Inter Milan, and Inter Milan struggled, but they eventually won the game. Yes, so he's so again.
I knew that man before I was born.
So again, with athletes, especially athletes nowadays, because of all the new information and technology and health they tend to last longer. Because before 33 year old.
Well, do keepers have a longer shelf life?
You should, because I mean, what are you doing, really?
Standing in front of goal.
That's not true. You are doing a good job, and it's a fantastic job, and it's still an athletic job. It's just that it's not as
intense,
as grueling as the people that are running for the 90 minutes. Yeah.
All right. French Federation official calls for its president to resign.
All right. So that's a huge deal. So this one happened, I think it was last week. So they announced that Didier Deschamps was going to stay as the French president, and then one reporter was like, everybody knew that, Zizou was supposed to be next in wing, and Zizou had been rejecting jobs. Like, and the thing about Zinedine Zidane is he will not manage. He will not take your disrespect. He will not settle. He had been waiting for the French job.
He was waiting,
and he was supposed to be the next person in the wings. Like I told you, there's a cycle with all these French coaches, only for them to decide that they're going to extend Didier Deschamps' contract again. So he's gone to 2 World Cups already, and extending.
So he's going to go for a third,
which is exactly because that's what it looks like. He's going to go for a third, and so a reporter asked the question, and the president was like, that even if Zizou would have called him, that he wouldn't have taken his call. It was very disrespectful to Zinedine Zidane. Now the thing about Zizou is he doesn't talk much. He never did, even as a player. So he made those disrespectful comments. What he said was leaked. It was everywhere, and then
were these comments in private though?
They were You can't say they're in private, because if I said it to you here, is this private? If I said something to you here as YouTube was turned on, but we're off air, is it private?
No.
No, it's not. So, but he did say very disrespectful. Use some words I can't use on morning radio. But at the end of the day, that it came out and everybody was mad. Everybody in France, because you know who Zizou was. From politicians to players to fans, everybody was mad. So now they've come out to say that he needs to resign, that they're not going to take him before the ethics committee, but that they hope he'll do the honorable thing and resign. And all this while, Zizou is just sipping his coffee,
Like,
and
wow.
rejecting more job offers. Just like it's good to be big.
Wow, when you're big, you're big. Okay, let's move on to the next story. Winning another League Cup won't change my life. Now, Manchester City's coach Pep Guardiola says becoming the League Cup most successful manager will not change his life, insisting the glory belongs to the players should his side add yet another trophy to their collection.
Yeah, so he's won I think he's won 4. But that's not the holy grail he wants. He wants UEFA Champions League with Manchester City. No, he's won UEFA Champions League, but he wants it with Manchester City. So that but he had already said that it was Messi that helped him win it, but he wants another one with Manchester City. That's why they brought him. They brought him there for the Champions League, not for the League Cup. However, they play Southampton today. And of course, he's going to tweak his team again. Start a few guys that have not seen a lot of play time because of the fact that it's Southampton. But remember, Southampton is also a Premier League side, and cup competitions can be very different from the Premier League, so they could also be a tough opposition. So it's not that he's not going to take it seriously. He's just saying, even if I win if it's 5 League Cups, it's still League Cup. At this point in time, whether I beat Alex Ferguson's record or not, it's none of the issue. It's not the issue here. But yeah, he would be a travesty though if he goes up against Southampton today and he doesn't win. That's when he will know that winning another League Cup can be something for his life.
Exactly. We've got some messages coming through. Tyler says, now that Gareth Bale has retired from football, he can focus on his passion, golf. He should also have time to write his book. Buffon at 44 is still keeping it together. Now that Gareth Bale, twice.
Okay, that is just the same message.
Yes, and then there's the third one.
Okay.
Zidane should come and manage Chelsea in the meantime.
But then, because again, Zizou doesn't like all these English press. It's the kind of thing.
That's true. He will drive them crazy.
Or they will drive him crazy.
One of them.
And Zizou, if he doesn't like the way it looks, he'll just pack his bag and be going back to France. You can't. I mean, the way he retired, he's just like, he sold Makaleli for Beckham. Okay, I'm done. Goodbye and God bless.
Wow.
I'm back under the armpit and he was gone.
All right, don't forget you can let us know what your thoughts are. 0809 444 981, and we're streaming on YouTube as well, so drop a comment on there and say hello and tell us what you think. Real are feeling the impact of a mid-season World Cup, and this is according to Ancelotti. Now he's preparing his side for the Spanish Super Cup semi-final against Valencia in Saudi Arabia on Wednesday, which is today.
Yeah, so this was in he was saying this yesterday already in Riyadh. Saudi Arabia is really doing greatness because everybody's going to play football there.
The Ronaldo factor.
The Italian Serie, no, it's not Ronaldo. The Italian Serie had moved their cup competitions already to Saudi Arabia. The La Liga had been playing in Saudi Arabia for a while. Their cup competitions. I just want to say sports washing is a thing. But Tega, don't say that out loud. But that's it.
That was just another secret.
That's another secret I'm letting out. But hey, but they are in Saudi Arabia, and Real Madrid will take on Valencia in the cup competition. And he's just saying that, look, you know what? Mentally, he thinks they're still on the break. Because I think about the way they lost over the weekend to Villarreal. Very shaky defensively and not as clinical or lethal. When attacking, so it was the kind of thing that you knew that if you scored against Real Madrid, don't relax because they will play till the 99th minute. But with this Real Madrid now, they are not as clinical. So he's saying that mentally they're still on a break and they need to try to work their way out of it. Well, they come up against Valencia in Saudi. I think that Valencia should be a good game for them to come back with a victory, especially as it's a cup competition. But we'll wait to see how this pans out for them. But for you to say that players at the top level still mentally on break. It's a mental thing. They have to get their mentality right. Players at the top level. We're talking Benzema, Modric, Toni Kroos. Do you hear the names I'm mentioning? I'm not talking of Vinicius Junior. It's okay to understand that
Benzema wasn't even at the World Cup, was he?
You know, he wasn't. He was injured, and then he was supposed to come back, and then he vexed quickly. Him and Zizou, they're in the same WhatsApp group. Then he didn't come back. So, but to say that those players, that those guys are mentally tough, those guys are ever ready for battle, are the ones that have the block. It's a bit dicey. But Ancelotti is the don. You know, coaches like this can get away with saying things like this. Graham Potter dares not say this kind of thing.
He'll be flayed. All right, let's move on to the next story. Wales boss wants Bale to stay involved in international setup.
All right, so yeah, he has retired. If you didn't know, if you were maybe on the moon, Gareth Bale announced his retirement. I think the retirement now brought him back into the limelight because his football didn't. So he announces his retirement was in LA Galaxy. He was already enjoying himself. So he just said, let me just continue enjoying myself fully. And so the Wales coach is saying that because their qualifiers are coming up in I think next month, and that Gareth Bale has a strong presence in the locker room with the guys. So he's looking for how he can keep Gareth Bale in some capacity. We don't know what role now, but in some capacity, so that influence in the locker room, he'll have it. I will say this for him though: don't waste your talent. Gareth Bale always wanted to just live a luxury life.
He's worked hard for it.
So allow him to live his luxury life. You know, just let him go and look for some. I mean, you have young guys that are coming up. You focus on your job in managing the team and leave Gareth Bale to whether he wants to golf, or he wants to go to LA and live with the superstars. That's his prerogative. He has earned the right to. A lot of people though were using it as a quote for Harry Kane. They're like, Harry Kane, if Gareth Bale has stayed in Tottenham, he'd be retiring with no trophies.
Oh, wow.
But now he has 5 years for Champions League to retire to. So Harry Kane, give yourself sense. I was just like, why does Gareth Bale's retirement have to be a warning for Harry Kane? But I mean, you think of a player like Harry Kane scoring all these goals, fantastic striker in great form, not one trophy to show for.
Life is unfair. Let's see.
No, his choices are poor. But
have some empathy. We've got some messages. This is on YouTube. LK Aderwa says, Graham Potter has let me lose every interest in football. Zizou should come and save us. That's why I don't like American and British owners. Okay. Olufemi says, Marcus Rashford is obviously on a hot streak. One hopes it isn't just a flash in the pan. Big E says, good to see Man U in good, especially with Rashford. Okay, Maguire is warming the bench, but Man U won't win any cup at the end. Need to see Man City defeat Man United. I know the match will be tough, so Arsenal can beat Tottenham and keep the top spot
You
solid.
guys are ruling out Newcastle United in this competition. Eddie Howe and his boys have been on a hot streak too. So Newcastle are a tough cookie to crack, and so for you to or tough not to crack. So you who are thinking, if you are just discounting them in this League Cup, they will shock all of you.
All right, we've got about a minute. Pogba returns to Juventus training after knee operation.
Yes, so good news. I didn't know he was still a footballer, but he's back. he's been out since
Why?
October.
Oh, why, Tega?
He's been out since last year. It was traded to or was transferred back to Juventus. Hadn't played for them. Was clearly going to miss the World Cup when it looked like he was coming back. So it's great to see that he's back training with them. They expect that he will be playing towards the end of the month. But it was good to see him training with his teammates. At least he still has a career to go to. So let's see how it pans out.
Tega. That is all the time that we have for the locker room this Wednesday. Do stay with us. There's a lot more to come on Smooth Breakfast.
Well, it's true,